as it really is. We will give this world its real value. And we will see that many things that we worry about, all the frictions that we have in this world, all the disputes, all the worries and the concerns, when we look at them from a distance, when we look at them from the hereafter, we will see, wow, this world is nothing. It holds no value. And Allah tells us about this when He asks the disbelievers, how long did you live in the dunya? How long did you live in that world? How long did you live? They would say, we lived for a few hours. It was like a blink of an eye. قَالَ كَمْ لَبِثْتُمْ فِي الْأَرْضِ عَدَدَ سِنِينَ. How many years did you live in that world? قَالُوا لَبِثْنَا يَوْمًا أَوْ بَعْضَ يَوْمٍ فَاسْأَلِ الْعَادِلِ. They would say, we lived only for a day, or even less than one day. Ask the people who were counting. We don't really know. You see, this whole world, this whole life that we live, 60, 70, 80, 100 years, will be like the blink of an eye. That's it. That's the real value of this life. So the things that we have dispute about, when you argue with your brothers and your sisters about small and trivial things, you see that this is all pointless. We should save our effort to achieve the real life in the hereafter. That's the real life. The things that we compete over in this world are pointless. They have no value at all. They have no value. So we shouldn't waste our time and our life just chasing these things. As long as you can live in this world, you have the provision to live, you have food, you have safety, security, and you're healthy. That's the whole world. The Prophet ﷺ in a beautiful hadith says, مَنْ أَصْبَحَ آمِنًا فِي سِرْبِهِ مُعَافًا فِي بَدَنِهِ عِنْدَهُ قُوتُ يَوْمِهِ فَقَدْ حِيزَتْ لَهُ الدُّنْيَا بِأَجْمَعِهَا. Any person who wakes up in the morning, he has the food for that day, has the food that he needs for that day, and he is healthy. He's not ill, suffering from pains and agony and different sicknesses or illnesses, and he is safe among his people. He's not threatened to be killed at any moment, like many Muslims around the world today. And this person has got everything in this world. Everything in this world has been given to him. That's the whole world. That's everything we need. We need food, health, security, a feeling of safety. That's the whole world. Anything else is a waste of time, is just a waste of attention and a waste of effort. So when we realize how trivial, how insignificant this life is, we will stop worrying about the tiny and small things in this world. Then we will give this life its real value, and we will work for the hereafter. The scholars of Islam always say the best thing in order to arrive at a good character in Islam is to make your heart travel from this world to the next. Make your heart live in the hereafter. Then look at this life from a distance. Then you will see everything, and you will see the real value of everything. Then you will act right. Then you will get things right. And this is how we should do. And this is what the Prophet ﷺ taught the companions, to see this world. This is the perspective that they had on this world. So when it came for the mu'akha, for the Ansar to see the Muhajirin, the migrant brothers, they saw them suffering, they didn't find any difficulty giving them half of their wealth, even all of it. They didn't have any problem with that. Abu Bakr didn't have any problem bringing all his money. Uthman ibn Affan, at the time of one of the battles, he didn't really find any hesitation paying all his wealth that he invested in that caravan. He gave it all for the sake of Allah. The merchants came to him and they said, listen, we will give you the value of that caravan 5 times over. Just sell it to us. We will take it. Because it was a great time for investment. He said, no. There was someone who gave me even more than what you paid. He gave me even double, multiplied many times. They said, who's the merchant? Who's the trader? Who's the businessman who could pay as we can pay? We are the richest here. He said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave me more. Allah gave me at least 10 times over. So his heart had already traveled to the next world. to the hereafter. So he looked at this life from a distance. So giving all his wealth for the sake, which is to calculate his wealth by today's terms, it will be up to billions. I'm talking about billions of dollars. Yes, he gave it all for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it's worth nothing. It's worth nothing. That's the reality. So when the companions were in the battlefield fighting to defend Islam and to spread Islam and to fight the oppressors and to put an end to injustice in the world, they didn't have any problem putting their lives for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They knew that in a few seconds I would depart, I will leave this world, I will lose my life. That's it, that's the end of my life. And they went there willingly with all courage, determination and bravery. This is what Islam teaches us. But today, because our hearts are attached to this world, it's very difficult for us to give from what Allah has given us. It's very difficult for us to put our lives for the sake of Allah. So whenever a calamity happens somewhere, and I heard this from people that I know, when a discussion came that the enemies of Islam might attack our countries at one stage, the first notion that came to people's minds, do you know what it was? Was, where are we going to go? We have no other place, we don't have a place to flee to. That's the notion that came to their minds. But a person whose heart is attached to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is attached to the hereafter, whose heart has traveled to the next world, and they look at this world from a distance, so they know the real value of this life, they would say, no, we die defending our religion, defending our honor, defending the real message of Islam, defending the truth. We put our lives for the sake of Allah. It's cheap for what Allah has prepared for us. That's the real notion. But you see, because we have become attached to this world, the first thing we think about is, where are we going to run away to? That's the sad reality in which we live today, and this is something we have to address. But the companions, they had no problem with that. Bilal had no problem being covered with stones and with a huge rock being brought and put in his chest, on his chest. And he was almost crushed. He almost died under that. He couldn't even breathe. And he was still saying, La ilaha illallah, ahadun ahad. No fear. This life is nothing. It holds no value. The only value in this life is how much iman we get, how closer we get to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how much knowledge we get, how many things we do for the sake of Allah, for the sake of the da'wah, for the sake of opening people's eyes to the reality of this world, to the reality of Islam. This is the real value of this life. Other than that, there is no value. All the material things in this world, they hold no value. This is how we should view the world. Now, I'm not speaking from a position where I have really achieved all of this. This is something we have to bear in mind. We're just trying to share this knowledge so we help one another to get to that stage. And the whole lifespan of a Muslim should be striving in that way to reach the highest levels of this understanding and this perspective. So when we look at the companions, their sacrifice, their courage, their achievements, their contributions to Islam, and the great things they achieved in their lives, when we understand the secrets behind this, then we will come to understand why and how they achieved this greatness, and how they achieved these wonderful contributions. So now we have two principles. And if we were to talk about the reality of this life and the reality of the next life, it would take us quite a long time to deal with that. But these are just glimpses